Anomie and strain theories are, along with learning theories and control theories, the three main groups of theories that form the foundation of criminology. While the foundations of this theory was laid by Robert Merton in 1938, the theory has been revised and advanced over the years by revisions by Cohen, Rosenfeld and Messner, and Robert Agnew. Here we will examine Robert Agnew's general strain theory. Robert Agnew advanced the strain theory by identifying three main sources of strain and analyzing how individuals would respond to these strains with crime. Merton had focused on strains caused by relationship in which a person was prevented from achieving valued goals. These strains would be caused when a lower class person or a person from a marginalized group was not able to achieve professional or monetary success because he is an outsider of the system. Examples would be a qualified person not getting a job because he is from a marginalized group. Agnew argued that strain could not only be caused due to failure to achieve valued goals, but also due to two other causal factors. One, removal of a positive stimuli, and secondly, the presence of noxious or negatively valued stimuli. Of these three ideal types, the first factor of failure to achieve valued goals were further subdivided as disjunction between aspirations or ideal goals and actual achievements, disjunction between expectations and ideal goals, and just or fair outcome and actual outcomes. We shall examine these three classes of strain or ideal types and their subtypes in detail. The classical strain theory of Merton had focused on the disjunction between the ideal goals prescribed by the social cultural system and achievements. The strain is caused by the gap between aspirations and actual achievements. While this is the more popular and known version of strain theory, it has been criticized on many grounds, such as inability to explain extensive delinquency among the middle class and ignoring barriers to goal achievements other than social class. The theory has also been critiqued on the grounds of the limited empirical support through research. Acknowledging the limitations of conceptualizing strain as a failure to achieve positively valued goals, Robert Agnew explored the possibility of strain being caused due to the disjunction between expectations and actual achievements. Such an approach is based in social psychology. The disjunction between expectations and actual achievements, he argued, would be emotionally more distressing. This is because aspirations are ideal goals and have an utopian element in them, and therefore they are taken less seriously. On the other hand, expected goals are rooted in reality and are therefore taken more seriously. Not achieving expected goals therefore leads to higher strain. Not achieving expected levels will also trigger social comparisons, which increases strain. The third conceptualization of strain is based in the justice equity literature. They expect that certain distributive justice rules will be followed. They expect that the outcome input ratio would be equivalent for all. If the ratio are equal, they feel the outcomes are fair. If not, the outcomes are less fair. If the outcomes are less, they feel the outcomes are unjust and the person could experience stress. For example, if two persons with the same capacities and qualifications apply for the same job, it is expected that both should get selected and receive the same pay. If, on the other hand, one of them is not selected or is selected and receive lesser pay, This could lead to a sense of injustice. Individuals in inequitable relationships may engage in delinquency. The delinquency may take the form of increasing their outcomes by actions such as theft and cheating, lowering their inputs by neglecting school or work, lowering the outcomes of others by vandalizing or damaging the competitor's interest, or increasing the output of others by disrupting increasing the input of theirs by disrupting others' efforts. Opposites that strain may also be caused by factors more than pursuit of positively valued goals. It can be caused by stressful events such as events involving loss of positively valued stimuli and events involving presentation of noxious and negative stimuli. Events of loss of positively valued stimuli may include death of friends or relatives, divorce or separation, setbacks in education or work or profession, etc. Such setbacks especially have serious impact among adolescents. Loss of positively valued stimuli may lead to delinquency when the individual tries to prevent the loss of the stimuli, retrieve lost stimuli, or obtain substitute stimuli, seek revenge against those responsible for the loss, or manage the negative effects by taking drugs. Aggression often occurs when positive reinforcements are reduced or removed. Presentation of negative stimuli may lead to aggression and other negative responses. Noxious stimuli may lead to delinquency as the individual tries to escape or avoid the negative stimuli, terminate or alleviate the negative stimuli, or take revenge against the source of the negative stimuli. Noxious stimuli include events such as child abuse and neglect, criminal victimization, physical punishment, negative family relationships, negative peer relationships, negative school experience, verbal threats, physical pain, or personal space violations. There is a link between strain and delinquency. Strain increases the likelihood of experiencing a range of negative emotions: anger, disappointment, depression, and fear. Delinquency may be a method of alleviating strain by escaping from the negative stimuli. Anger caused by strain results in individuals blaming their adversity on others and a desire for retaliation or revenge. This may result in personal physical attacks on the person who is the source of anger, or vandalism and destruction of property of the person or organization that the delinquent feels are the source of her problems. Delinquency may also occur when they manage negative effects through drug use. Strain therefore creates a predisposition for delinquency. Strain also reduces the capacity to cope with strain in a the ability of a person for reasoning and diminishes her ability to be aware of the cost of crime. Strain impacts the personality traits of negative emotionality and low constraint. People possessing traits of negative emotionality are easily upset, become intensely emotional and aggressive. They tend to act without thinking, engage in risky behavior, and are likely to be involved in crime. Strain has a tendency to impact these traits, and new strains are likely to be overwhelming for the individual and elicit strong emotional reactions, which may result in the person indulging in violent or criminal acts. Strain may reduce the levels of social control. Many forms of strain involve negative treatment by conventional others like parents, teachers, and employers. These forms of strain occur often and is repeated. This reduces the emotional bond to the conventional others. For example, it could reduce the bond between the parent and the child, or repeated bad treatment by teachers may diminish the bond between the child and the teacher. Such forms of strain could also reduce the individual's investment in conventional activities of jobs or education. These types of experience may cause the individual to retreat from conventional others and reduce the influence of conventional others on them. Such individuals are less likely to believe that crime is wrong and less likely to accept societal norms condemning crime. Strain may foster the social learning of crime. Strain increases the likelihood that individuals will come in contact with peer groups and gangs who are indulging in criminal behavior. These gangs or groups will act as models for criminal behavior and teach beliefs which are favorable to crime. The individual who is a victim of a crime, on the other hand, may view the criminal group as solutions for their strains. For example, an individual who could not achieve social status through jobs or education would join these groups, which would give him importance and respect. However, it is seen that only some strained persons take to delinquency. This is due to the adaptation or cognitive, emotional, and behavioral coping strategies to strain. The coping strategies differ across persons and influence whether one adopts delinquent or non-delinquent coping strategies. One of the factors that influence coping strategy is the values and characteristics of a person. Different individuals have different coping resources such as personal intelligence, interpersonal skills, self-esteem, support from family and larger society through means such as informational, instrumental, and emotional support. Informational support could be by providing data on how frequently such strains occur among peers. Instrumental support could be help through formal authorities such as schools, church, or the police. And emotional support could be through counseling by family members or professional counselors. Coping with strain by engaging in delinquent behavior is also constrained by the fact that such as deterrence and the cost and benefit of delinquency. This would mean that the individual would know that engaging in delinquent acts would result in intervention by society through formal methods like criminal cases, which would impose a serious cost for the juvenile. Constraints could also be through informal social control mechanisms such as parental supervision or supervision by schools and other institutions in the near society. Sometimes delinquents do not get an opportunity for expressing their anger or disappointment because of the inability to carry out illegitimate acts due to lack of access to identified sources of adversity or lack of availability of drugs to violate drug laws. Coping with strain is also constrained by macro level social variables such as characteristics of the social environment. These macro level variables include the importance attached to goals, values, identities in society. Individuals living in such societies which gives excessive importance to monetary success and social status would feel its pressure immensely and would find it more difficult to minimize the importance of money and status. This would give them little avenue for seeking alternate coping mechanisms, and they would choose to continue in their efforts to achieve the social and cultural goals set despite facing repeated failures and a great amount of strain. The social environment would also impact the individual's sensitivity to particular traits. It would affect the individual's definition of what is adverse and what is not. For example, in certain social settings, a mere word spoken in a wrong tone or a word or gesture towards a female companion would be viewed very gravely and call for responses. Such environments indicate a very low threshold for sensitivity towards strain. This should reduce restraint and increase the possibility of juveniles adapting delinquent acts to respond to the perceived insult and cause strain. It is therefore seen that the larger social environment may affect individual coping with strain in different ways. It would therefore make it impossible that there would be pressure on certain groups to restrain from delinquent acts. On the other hand, there could be reduced restraint on other groups. This explains the variation in levels of deviance among some groups, with some groups having higher levels of deviance such as urban underclass and other groups having lower levels of deviance.